Hi everybody, welcome to our third video lesson. This lesson is on identifying and analyzing conflict in literature. Samantha, if you're watching, I'll do my best to slow this one down. And although for everybody, a lot of this information will probably be a review. If it's new to you, feel free to slow down or rewatch the PowerPoint or whatever you need to do to make sure that you understand it. Okay, so first a definition, conflict. If you're talking about literature, the word conflict refers to a problem or a struggle in a story. The conflict in the story is what drives the plot. It's what makes the story interesting. So if I were to get up in the morning and my children are well behaved and there's no traffic on the road and my husband brings me coffee and my students all did their homework and everything is fabulous, it's not a very interesting story. But if my kids misbehave or if there's tons of traffic or, you know, that's what creates struggle, that's what creates drama. And that's why a story is interesting. So you need a conflict. Next, we have different types of conflict. So the first one is internal. The conflict is inside, within the character. Character versus self. That's the type. The conflict is within the character. She or he must make a difficult decision. Then we have, this is usually the central conflict in any story. So usually if you watch a movie, most movies have multiple conflicts. There'll be a conflict within a character, character versus self, and then others. But the one that's really important is the one within the character. Okay. Another type of conflict is external. And the first type is character versus character. That means that there's a problem between two different characters, one-to-one. You can also have character versus society. Then there's a problem between the main character and other people. So it could be a student against the rest of the class. It could be somebody in a town against the rest of the town. For example, if you think of Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird, he was definitely in conflict with the people of his town and the entire South, most of whom embraced Jim Crow laws and the Jim Crow thinking, which he did not. And then character versus nature, fate, or God. And that's where the conflict is between a character and a superhuman force. So if you've seen the movie Titanic, the iceberg would be the superhuman force, and the struggle of all the characters to survive is, they would be the characters against nature. So next I'd like you to try to apply this. Please take a minute to consider the story Thank You, Ma'am. On the worksheet I gave you, first, consider all the types of conflict versus self, character, society, nature, fate, and God. Now turn to the worksheet you got in class and please name 2 conflicts you see in the story. Thank you, ma'am, on the worksheet you were given. So under A, you can put, internal or external, and then you can put the conflict, and then B, you can put internal and external, and then put the conflicts down. Next, we need to think about analyzing conflict. And in order to analyze conflict, you want to remember SWBS. Now, SWBS is an acronym. An acronym is the first letter of each word put together. And it's to help you remember the following. S is for somebody. That's usually the main character. W is for wants. So if you're talking about conflict, somebody wants something. But there's an obstacle. And that is the majority of the story. What does the main character do when confronted with the obstacle? So again, somebody, the main character, wants something, but there's an obstacle. So what does the character do about it? If you can answer these questions, you can usually identify the conflict and have a good summary not only of the conflict, but also of the story. So here's an example with Thank You, Ma'am. The somebody is Roger. Roger's the main character. He wants money that he doesn't have to buy blue suede shoes. Now, the blue suede shoes are a symbol, and what they represent is that awesome feeling that everyone gets when we wear the coolest shoes we've ever worn. When you have those fabulous shoes that everybody wants, you feel special, you feel cool, but you definitely don't feel poor or abandoned, which is what he is. So although on a literal level he wants blue suede shoes, really he's looking for something much deeper. But Miss Jones does not let him steal her purse, so he can't get the money, so he can't buy the shoes. So what does he do? Well, it's really what happens to him. So Roger's caught, and Miss Jones helps him. Because of her help, though, he ends up with dignity and self-respect he didn't have at the beginning of the story. Although he does try to steal in the beginning, he doesn't steal later. He has the chance twice, and he actually kind of makes an amend to her and gets along with her. And the last sentence I have here, I think it feels far better. The dignity and the self-respect feel far better than the shoes could ever make him feel. She gives him a sense of right and wrong, and he goes out into the world knowing better. So this is the end of our lesson for today. When we come into class, we'll be talking about other conflicts in Thank You, Ma'am, and we'll be talking about conflicts in Just Lather. That's all. Thank you. Have a good night.